Policing TV, where I'm joined by police volunteers expert Dr. Iain Britton. Policing TV has a week of content on police volunteers coming up starting on the 26th of August. And Iain is here to talk us through that and to tell us something about the range of activities worldwide that police volunteers engage in. Iain, welcome. And please do tell us something about that range of activities that police volunteers get involved in.
Thank you, Bernard, and thank you to Policing TV for creating this focus on police volunteering around the world. It's often an overlooked aspect of policing, but in many, many countries, indeed most countries, volunteers are engaged in one way or another across policing, in policing organisations. This has a wide range, so at one end of volunteering, there are quite intense volunteering models where volunteers serve essentially as an equivalent of police officers, as police reserve, auxiliaries, special constables, assistant police, where they serve in uniform as volunteers on the streets as visible policing, police officers serving the communities, volunteers and paid colleagues side by side. There are also a very wide range of other volunteering contributions that people make around the world in terms of crime prevention, community safety, supporting victims, working with offenders, working with police organisations in a wide range of different ways. And increasingly, and I think particularly excitingly, there are lots of roles emerging now with people bringing their specialist skills, whether that's in the cyber and digital world, whether it's in economic crime and accountancy, but a wide range of different specialist roles, where they bring those skills as volunteers into policing to supplement and work alongside the paid workforce. And this whole volunteering activity is literally hundreds of thousands of people worldwide in many, many countries. And I think it's really exciting that we're starting to look across this internationally and see all of the learning and interconnections between those volunteer models in lots of different countries.
Iain, you've travelled quite extensively in researching the use of police volunteers. Tell us a little bit about that travelling that you've done, countries that you've visited, and different aspects of the police volunteers model that you've noticed in those travels.
Yes, I've travelled and worked now in a number of different countries. So a few years ago, I travelled to Japan, which has a very large crime prevention volunteer model, organised to sit alongside the police rather than within it, but which engages over 1 million people directly in volunteering in terms of community safety and crime prevention. And I think is definitely one of those signature models. More recently, I travelled to Canada, to the United States, and to the Netherlands on a Churchill Fellowship, where I visited a large number of different agencies looking at their auxiliary policing programs, their reserve police, their specialist police roles. Some of those people I was talking about who bring those specialist skills into policing, and understanding the different ways that they deploy volunteers in different countries. And I think there's a lot of learning in that there are so many different ways in which volunteers are utilised, but often that's done quite locally and it is known about elsewhere. So there's a huge advantage in getting together internationally and having some of those conversations about how different models in different places perhaps deploy the volunteers in different ways, see them performing different roles, and can then sort of bring that practice into other national settings.
So, the policing TV content that we'll be featuring from during week commencing the 26th of August actually does capture some of that international diversity, does it not? Tell us to start with about some of the the global activity and insights that we've been able to capture within our policing TV coverage?
Well, one aspect is that we did some filming at the International Symposium on Volunteer Policing in Edinburgh, which took place back in May, which brought a fascinating range of different countries' practice together. So we had Malaysia and Japan inputs, we had colleagues from Estonia, from the Netherlands, from France, which has a large reserve model of policing, and representatives from the US, from Canada, from Germany, a wide range of different countries inputting their experience, sharing aspects of their programs, what works and what doesn't work. We had the Republic of Ireland, who have established a reserve policing model recently in the last 20 years or so, sharing their experience and learning from others. So a really interesting bringing together of lots of different countries. And some of the interview content that we've brought together for the Volunteer Week, we have an input from Malaysia, from the Police Volunteer Reserve there, which is a large model of volunteer policing and works in a really very integrated way along with their police service in terms of how the volunteer reserves work. We've got an input which talks a lot around Washington, D.C. and the reserve policing model there, which is a real hallmark of a professionalized volunteer frontline police officer type model of operating. So lots of different world examples starting to emerge in the content.
And also content from the UK, for example, the Police Specials Conference in Police Scotland and other conferences, including in Birmingham. Tell us about those.
Yes, so we did some filming at Police Scotland's Special Constabulary Conference. So every year they gather all of the special constables. They have over 300 special constables across Police Scotland. They gather them together. We had over 100 people in the room who essentially volunteer out across the whole of Scotland within their communities. It was a conference which brings them together to share best practice, to do some training, but really importantly, just to meet one another as that community of volunteers across Police Scotland. We also, I think, a really interesting coverage was the Women in Special Constabulary Conference, which was held again back in May in Birmingham. And that highlighted, I think, one of the really powerful things that volunteer policing can do, which is to draw in and enhance the diversity and range of people who are engaging in policing. So, volunteer police in the UK has about 30% representation in terms of females, and it was wonderful to gather them in a room together and to hear all of those female voices in terms of what it means as a female volunteer officer, what the experience is, how we can build on that, improve it, attract similar, more people to be drawn into this as a volunteering opportunity.
One of the things that struck me in the contents that we'll be showcasing during week commencing the 26th of August is the enthusiasm of those that are volunteering in policing. If only it could be bottled. It's just fantastic to be in a room with these police volunteers. Um, uh, Previously, we've recorded content at the Metropolitan Police Specials Conference. Very a wonderful conference that was a few months ago. At this one, you've mentioned the Women in the Specials Conference, where one of my favourite moments is with a group of women getting up and cheering. If you watch when you watch the video, you'll notice that particularly, and also with the youth volunteers in Police Scotland. Absolutely wonderful group of relative to me, of course, youngsters who are performing a wonderful support task to Police Scotland there. Um, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here, but favourite moments in uh, the contents that we filmed and will be showcasing, but I'll extend it a little further for you. Favourite moments in your policing volunteers experience? What sorts of moments do you immediately recall?
I think there are many, and I echo everything you say, Bernard. The reality is, the inspiring word is used a lot, isn't it? But police volunteers genuinely are inspiring people. You have so many talents and backgrounds and wide range of individuals drawn into this who bring so much to policing, and these are people who are doing so much in their communities. They are, literally at times putting their lives on the line. They are running towards danger as other people are running away from it. You know, Hearing some of the experiences of what volunteers did during the COVID pandemic period in different countries is really quite humbling in terms of, these are volunteers on the front line at a time of international crisis, stepping up and being, a key role within their communities. You mentioned the youth volunteering. It's impossible to do work around volunteer police cadets, youth volunteers, without coming away with a glow. These are wonderful young people. There's a sense sometimes in policing that we focus on young people in terms of potential offenders, potential victims, seeing them almost as either a problem or as people that we need to provide a service to. Once you start seeing young people as part of a solution, you start seeing the impact that volunteer police cadets as volunteers can make as peer influencers, as a visible presence, as part of a police family and the communities. It's hugely powerful, and I think really exciting in the sense that so many of these young people then progress onwards to do other adult roles, either as volunteers or as paid service across policing organisations as well. So there's many moments for me. There are a lot of inspiring people. I'm amazed by some of the people who bring their specialist talents into policing. Some of the work which has been done around Locate International and identifying unidentified bodies, helping to find missing persons. Some really transformational work. I visited the cold case team in robbery and homicide in LAPD, which is effectively almost entirely staffed by volunteer reserves, which has cracked significant cases, which has had a real impact for families who haven't known the outcome of what happened with a loved one 20, 30 years ago. Some really powerful stories of what volunteers do around the world. So there isn't for me one moment. The joy of this is that pretty much every day when you're engaging with police volunteers, it's that, it's coming across some really, wonderful, inspiring people.
Dr. Iain Britton, thank you so much for that. So, addressing you, yes, you are viewers. You can watch these videos week commencing from the Monday, the 26th of August, both on www.policingtv, but also, and I would urge you to do this, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel for free by going to youtube.com/at policing TV. Do it now. It's absolutely free. Takes 2 clicks. Dr. Iain Britton, thank you so much.
Thank you.